In this issue of Japanese history, we will continue with the Meiji Restoration and its aftermath. In the previous issue, we discussed the return of the domain, the return of the national registry to the emperor, which was carried out by the new government. Although return of the domain was the return of the people and land previously owned by each clan to the emperor, the lords present in each land became the administrative chiefs of that land, which was in fact the same as having control over that land. The leaders of the new government were mainly samurai from the Satsuma and Choshu clans. Taking away the rights of their masters, the lords of the Satsuma and Choshu clans, was an extremely difficult task even for them. Therefore, the new government's financial resources were limited to the direct control of the land originally owned by the Edo shogunate, which was about 25% of the total financial resources of Japan. The new government suffered from financial difficulties right from its birth. The new government, of course, aimed to establish a centralized system centered on the emperor. However, it had no military backing to do so. The military force that the new government had was the clan warriors dispatched by each clan. The new government did not have its own military. On February 8, 1871, Shigenobu Okuma advocated military, educational, judicial, and financial needs, and that a uniform national standard was necessary to achieve them. This clearly showed that the autonomy of each clan was the biggest obstacle to politics today. In response to this proposal, government leaders began to seriously consider these issues. Let us now turn our attention to the provinces. This is the Kishu clan's reform of the feudal government. The leader of the reform was Munemitsu Mutsu. As Minister of Foreign Affairs in 1894, he was responsible for the abolition of unequal treaties with Western nations and succeeded in removing consular jurisdiction. He was a member of the Kaiantai, a corps founded by Ryoma Sakamoto at the end of the Edo period, and worked under Sakamoto. After Sakamoto's assassination, he returned to his native Kishu and reformed the clan government. He established a conscription system in the Kishu domain that allowed farmers, townspeople, and others to participate in the military, which until then had been the exclusive domain of the samurai. The family finances of the feudal lord and the finances of the domain were separated from each other. In addition, the salary that the feudal lord had previously given to feudal warriors was reduced to 10%, and those who were assigned to new positions were paid a salary based on the position they held. Samurai who could not hold office were encouraged to take on side jobs. These reforms broke the master-servant relationship between samurai and feudal lord, and the feudal system collapsed. The reforms Mutsu undertook had a major impact on the later abolition of the Han system. 1871, 4 years after the new government was formed, the need for the abolition of feudal domains was gaining support within the government from both a financial and military perspective. Aritomo Yamagata, who wished to unify the military system, persuaded influential people. The new government officials from the Choshu domain, which had little influence from the feudal lords, were positive about the abolition of feudal domains. Takamori Saigo, who was from the Satsuma clan with Hisamitsu Shimazu, the country's father who boasted enormous influence in Satsuma, was reluctant to do so. However, he too was struggling to raise a stipend for the considerable number of samurai in Satsuma, and he agreed to Yamagata's persuasion. On August 24, 1871, Okubo, Saigo, Kido, Yamagata, Iwakura, Itagaki, and others prepared a concrete plan for the abolition of feudal domains, and they decided to put it into action. They also confirmed that any opposition to this plan would be suppressed by soldiers from Satsuma, Choshu, and Tosa. On August 29, 1871, the lords staying in Tokyo were assembled at the imperial palace and a decree was issued for the abolition of feudal domains and the establishment of prefectures. As a result, the feudal lords who had been in charge of administration in each region lost their positions and were ordered to relocate to Tokyo. The feudal lords were to receive a stipend of 10% of each clan's income. In addition, the new government assumed all debts of each clan and the salaries of the clan's samurai. Each clan was to have its own prefectural government, and a prefectural governor was dispatched from the central government. The lords of each clan readily complied with this order. Why was this? It was because each clan was burdened with enormous debts. Since the mid-Edo period, when the economy was growing by leaps and bounds, clans were unable to keep up with this trend and had to borrow huge amounts of money. They had to borrow large sums of money from merchants or impose taxes on their citizens to cover their debts. Every clan tried to reform their administration and improve their financial situation, but few succeeded. The Boshin War, however, caused large expenditures, which further increased the financial deficit. Each clan had issued clan bonds, which were also assumed by the new government. In order to avoid these debts, the feudal lords accepted the abolition of feudal domains without resistance. The total amount of clan bonds underwritten by the new government was double the amount of government revenue. The new government classified the bonds issued by each clan into three categories. 1. The government is responsible for paying off bonds issued after 1868 in 25 years with 4% annual interest. 2nd, clan bonds issued after 1844 will be paid off in 50 years without interest. 3rd, all clan bonds issued prior to 1843 were to be null and void. Most of the clan bonds had been deferred from before 1844, and all of them became null and void. This led to a number of Osaka merchants, many of whom had lent money to their clients, being forced into bankruptcy. This was one of the reasons why Osaka, which had been an economic center since the Edo period, handed over its position to Tokyo. The abolition of feudal domains fundamentally changed the way in which the land was ruled by feudal lords, who ruled their fiefdoms for nearly 1,000 years since the mid-Heian period. This is said to have been the greatest revolution brought about by the Meiji Restoration. Immediately after the abolition of feudal domains, each clan became a prefecture as it was, and there were 302 prefectures in Japan. Since then, the number of prefectures has continued to consolidate, reaching 48 prefectures. The abolition of feudal domains was a major revolution. Has allowed the new government's policies to spread throughout Japan. Shortly thereafter, the new government enacted the family registration law. The samurai and the townspeople and peasants were made the same as commoners, and the surnames that had been permitted only to the samurai were also assumed by the townspeople and peasants. At this time, samurai were still paid a stipend, but later reforms eliminated this stipend and the privileges of the samurai. In response, a number of samurai rebellions broke out. This will be explained in a later commentary. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to the channel and press the like button.